Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Barbershop, The Next Cut. So I love Barbershop, the original comedy. I thought Barbershop 2 was fun. I liked Beauty Shop, the spin-off with Queen Latifah. So I had high hopes for this film, especially because 2016 thus far has been pretty bad for comedies overall. And unfortunately, the trend continues because I didn't really like Barbershop The Next Cut either. So they're kind of going on a big publicity tour prior to the film's release to go out of their way and make sure you know that this film isn't like the first two. It's not just fun, it is serious. It has a lot of serious messages. And I think that's a big mistake because a lot of people like the first two, that's why we're on to this third one. But they're right, so I guess it's good that they're warning people. I just don't know that they're gonna think it was such a great plan once they see those box office numbers for warning people. And it's all such a shame. You know I love social justice, and this movie really has some great things to say about race and about gang activity and youth influencement in, Southside Chicago in this case, but really it translates all across the country. Unfortunately, it's just so heavy-handed in delivering every single message and aspect that it wants to say. You're just annoyed. You're like, oh my gosh, stop pushing it in my face so much. This film literally has zero nuance, so automatically it puts it at film. It feels like it should have been made for TV right off the bat for having no nuances, having no subtlety, and not really delivering it with any sort of sophistication. If we were given the message disguised and put into a more interesting story, and at least a funny movie, we could forgive it and we would receive the message. But here it's just like, ugh, okay, we get it. For example, so many of the scenes in this movie are literally ripped from an after-school special. I mean, the stuff dealing with gangs and the youth that they cut away to is just so cheesy and predictable and almost unwarranted. It's a complete side story. Every time we're not inside the confines of the barbershop itself, it all just kind of plummets toward the ground. And unfortunately, a lot of the times we're in the barbershop, it still isn't that great. So they tried to make sexism and feminism a message here in the film as well to coincide with the racism and the gang activity. Unfortunately, it just fell completely flat. The two sides of the argument were just so shallow and surface level that really no discussion was had. The men all came off looking like chauvinistic pigs, and the women came off looking like shrill feminists. And neither one of those is a great representation of either gender, and it was just really disappointing to see, sexism and women's feelings dismissed so often throughout this film. There was one positive message about, sexual identity and gender identity at the very end of the movie, because they're kind of ragging on a guy for the way he dresses and acts. For being a gentleman, he's gotta be gay. And I really like the message that comes out of that just throughout the rest of the film. It seems like, oh, what's going on here? This is kind of uncomfortable. Aren't we past this yet? And also why this movie really wants to be political when it comes to race. The only race it has in mind is African Americans. It's only really advocating for the black race, which is fine. That is completely okay. That if that's your goal of your film and that's your target audience, that's great. However, I would have been more receptive if white people were only mentioned or shown as a punchline. So the entire cast is black. And then every time being white is brought up, it's an insult. So, oh, are you sure you're black? Because you're acting awfully Caucasian. Or, white girl stereotypes. It's just, every time white people are brought into the mix, it's a slam. And I just thought that was very destructive and not a positive way to integrate race relations. That's not the way to get conversations started. But let's move on to the characters. So most of them actually seemed super ignorant. I mean, whether it dealt with sexism, racism, you know, calling people gay, whatever, it all just seemed very ignorant to me. Ice Cube was solid. He was good. He plays this role very well. And actually, when we were seeing some of the heftier, more emotional performance from Ice Cube, it got really good. Regina Hall plays his partner here in the business, and she's so good. Again, when we got to the serious stuff, she was amazing. And I just want to see Regina Hall get more work. She's such a deserving actress. Common, I also thought, was good. I think he didn't handle the dramatic stuff well at all. And he was much better when he was given comedy to work with. There's one sequence with him and Nicki Minaj inside of a car, and when she gets out, he steals the show. Like, I think that was the funniest moment of the entire movie, was Common inside of that car. And then he's married to Eve, who does well. Neither here nor there, honestly. Nicki Minaj is in this movie, and she was pretty bad. I like Nicki Minaj a lot, but she's supposed to cry at one scene, and they had to, like, make her run out to a different room to cry because it was just so unbelievable and terrible. But she was kind of just there to play a little ditzy thing in the office, and she can't even really pull that off so well. Ugh, sorry, Nikki. And then we have Cedric the Entertainer, who is funny. I mean, he's been funny through this whole series. He's kind of the staple of the series. And when you can understand him, because sometimes his mumble talk is a little bit too much, but he's funny, he's great, he grounds the whole series. So while I wanted so badly to give this film a positive review, I just can't. There's a good message in there, even though it's shoved down our throat over and over and over. And there are some funny gags, some good things that land. It's just such a flawed film that most of the time isn't funny and has no nuance or sophistication in its filmmaking. I think that you can totally skip this one in the theaters, and honestly, it only makes for a meh rental. So, that has been my review of Barbershop, The Next Cut. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Barbershop The Next Cut? And what did you think of the first two films and the spin-off with Queen Latifah? Let me know either in the comment section down below or hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!